Nowadays, everybody is talking about mindset. Now, there's a really, really good reason. Without a good mindset, it's really hard to make anything else work well. It's hard to even get moving. Now, people talk about it, and the prevailing mindsets out there are go for it, just do it, 10x it, baby, trying to get you to see things in this light. But there's not a whole lot out there about how to get there, right? We have scream in a mirror, say your affirmations, sit and pump yourself up until you can just go and like steamroll everything. But all of this it's just overpowering a bad feeling, right? It's just pushing you to be excited, but it doesn't really take care of the problem. Now, there are a lot of things in mindset that can be adjusted and fine-tuned, but one of the things that really isn't addressed well is the fact that they're kind of addressing the wrong spot in these mindsets, right? Go for whatever, go for it, do this, do that, right? But the fact of the matter is, people aren't really afraid of succeeding. They're not afraid of doing things right. They're not afraid of getting their sales. What they're afraid of is that point where the big disaster happens. It's where they don't get the sale, they don't meet their quota, they lose their job, they fail miserably, they get yelled at by the client. And when these things happen, and they will happen because they happen, right? It's called life, it's called the real world, where you can't control someone else's mind completely. When they happen, we feel bad. We fall apart. We have all these terrible negative emotions and go, oh my God, this is awful. I have all these awful feelings about ourselves. This is the place. How to handle it when things go terribly wrong is the main place where we believe you need to address your mindset and change it. Because if you can handle it when things go wrong, you can fail more, fail often. And by the way, successful people fail more than unsuccessful people. And you can go to work and not be concerned every day, beating yourself up or being concerned about all those things happening, and then take a sigh of relief at the end of the day when they usually don't. Because although they happen, they don't happen that often. The tool we use for change is called the 3D mind. Now, people are really looking for a magic pill. They don't want to ever, ever, ever feel bad anymore. This just isn't realistic. It's not how the mind works. And, I really don't expect you to ever feel really great about every time you fail or when things fall apart, when they don't go well. But what isn't an option is being paralyzed. What isn't an option is not taking action. What isn't an option is just not doing it or being terrified of doing it and having to push yourself to do it every day. So when you work on your mindset and make changes on dealing with it when things go wrong, it's kind of a learning process. You'll still have to go in and go to work, but you're not going to be pumping yourself up, right? It's just kind of a non-event, really. You go, you do your job, you make your calls, you do whatever you couldn't do before, and there's a learning curve. So now when we pump ourselves up, which is what most people do for mindset, there's a problem with that. The problem is that pumping yourself up, there's two parts of the mind that we're going to talk about, and just in very, very, very layman's terms. The reactive part of the brain and the adaptive, creative part of the brain. When you're pumping yourself up, or when you're terrified, when you're excited, this all taps into the reactive part of the brain. Now, the problem with this is that when you're being reactive, you don't think really well. You don't think, you're not creative, you can't evaluate what you're doing, you're not as likely to remember what you're doing, and you certainly can't grow and change. You're just going to keep getting excited, hitting the reactive part of the brain, and not being able to actually react better and think better when bad things or anything happens, right? So what we're going to do is take you to the adaptive, creative part of your mind. And when you're here, you're not pumped up, which means you're not using all your energy to keep yourself in a high state. You're also in a place where you can think, learn, react better, deal better with when things don't go wrong, when people ask questions you're not expecting. Whatever it is, you will be able to deal with it in a more creative, adaptive, thinking manner. We address change from the point of taking action. We really like to look at what we are avoiding doing, what we can't do, what we have a lot of trouble pushing ourselves to do, and look at the mindset changes around that to streamline it, to make it a lot easier to take the actions we need to take every day. And the beauty of this is that you can see tangible results quickly and see what's working. So this is not the only area where we're going to address mindset changes, but it's just a really important one that a lot of people overlook, how we feel when things go wrong and making sure we can handle it when things go wrong. So the tool I mentioned we use is called the 3D Mind. Years ago, when we were creating this, it's been a long time since we started, we were met with this guy named Dr. Ken Jeffrey, and he is a neuroscientist, brain researcher, and he approached us and said, hey, do you want to know how what you do works? We didn't know who he was at the time, so we were like, okay, whatever. But then he sat and explained to us how what we were doing helped to create new neural pathways really fast, which means we start to think differently right away, really quickly, in the part of our brain where we can adapt, change, and move forward and take better action. So we've been using the 3D Mind for change, but then we thought, you know what, how about using it to kind of model what other people do, having a more high-performance mind. We still take this from the point of taking action, but when we do this, we look at what successful people in the area do and how it differs from what we're doing, and use the 3D Mind to adjust it so we can quickly not only move forward and do things differently, but do things in a way that's already working for other people. So this tool, mindset, is the single most important tool you can have. And why is that? If you don't have this tool, you can't take action. If you can't use this tool and have a great mindset, then you're not going to move forward. You're going to move at a snail's pace. It's really hard to apply all the other tools if you cannot effectively adjust and fine-tune your mindset. Now, in March 28th through 30th, we are having a training in Atlanta where we will be teaching persuasion tools, face-to-face skills, how to deal with all the situations in your life, be more persuasive, deal better with people, and using mindset changes to streamline what you want to do in your life to make it easier for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve, to do the things that you want to do. So the link to the seminar is in the notes below, and I hope we see you guys there. Thanks.